Hey everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be telling you about some of the sci-fi books that I have acquired recently. I have quite a mixed history with sci-fi. We've never been the best of friends, but in my final year of university I did a writing sci-fi and fantasy module, which I really enjoyed, and that really ignited an interest in sci-fi for me. I'm still very much like dipping my toes in and dabbling in the genre. If you have any recommendations for me, leave them down below. So the first book I'm going to talk about is one that doesn't really need any more promotion. It is The Power by Naomi Alderman, and this won the most recent Bailey's Prize for Fiction. The basic premise of this book really appeals to me. So this is a dystopian kind of novel where gendered power structures are kind of flipped on their head. Teenage girls realise that they have this immense physical power to control electricity, and they begin to teach this skill to other women. And this twist of nature means that the world changes entirely. I believe this book follows a number of different perspectives, and it features people who have been affected by this change in circumstance from various different parts of the globe. Obviously this is one that has been very highly praised, so I'm really looking forward to getting to it soon. I have another book that has somewhat similar themes, but I've heard a lot more mixed reviews on this one, and that is Who Runs the World by Virginia Bergen. This is another gender-based dystopian novel set 60 years after a virus has wiped out every man on the planet. The blurb states that because the world is now a matriarchy, war has ended, the ecological needs of the planet are always put first, and greed is not condoned. The women have built up their society, and life is pretty good if you're a girl. I think this book follows two characters, one named River and another named Mason, and before these two characters met, River didn't think men existed. I find the concept of there being a dystopian novel where there is a matriarchy really intriguing. However, I think that is a really difficult subject matter to get right. I don't think the world should have a matriarchy. A matriarchy is not an equal society. Also, the way this book describes make me think that it might be kind of excluding trans individuals and very much playing into a gender binary. I just think this is a really difficult topic to nail, and there are a lot of complexities in this subject matter that I'm not sure will be covered well enough. If you have read this one, please do leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of it. The next book I have is The Book of Phoenix by Nnedi Okorafor, and in this book we follow a character named Phoenix, who was grown and raised among genetic experiments in New York's Tower 7. She is what is called an accelerated woman. She is only 2 years old but has the body and mind of an adult. Her abilities far exceed those of a normal human being. However, she is somewhat innocent and naive. She is quite happy to spend her life in her flat, speed reading e-books and running on her treadmill, and basking in the love of Saeed, another biologically altered human from Tower 7. Then one evening Saeed witnesses something so terrible that he takes his own life. Devastated by his death and Tower 7's refusal to answer her questions, Phoenix begins to realise that her home isn't really a home but a prison, and she becomes desperate to escape. But her escape and destruction of Tower 7 is only the beginning. Before her story ends, Phoenix will travel from the United States to Africa and back again, changing the entire course of humanity's future. This one sounds fantastic and I've heard really good reviews about it. So yeah, I am super excited to get to that one. Next up I have 9 Fox Gambit by Yoon Ha Lee. This was nominated for the Hugo, the Nebula and the Arthur C. Clarke Awards, so all the big sci-fi awards. So this is the first installment in a trilogy. I also believe it's a bit of like a space opera style science fiction novel. It's centered around a disgraced captain and her efforts to redeem herself. I don't know much about it other than that I've heard it's a really complex science fiction novel that I may struggle to wrap my head around. As someone who has only really dabbled in science fiction, I'm not sure how accessible I'm gonna find it. I don't know, we'll see. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this book down below as well. Next up is a book that I think sounds really interesting, and that is On the Edge of Gone by Corinne Duvis. This is set in January 2035. On the 29th of January, a huge comet is scheduled to hit planet Earth. Denise and her mother and her sister Iris have been assigned a temporary shelter near their hometown of Amsterdam, and this is where they are meant to wait out the blast. But Iris is nowhere to be found, and there are also complications in the fact that their mother is addicted to drugs, which is causing some problems for them reaching the shelter in time. But a last-minute encounter leads to something better than a temporary shelter. A generation ship which is scheduled to leave Earth and colonize new planets. But in order to become a passenger on this ship, you must be able to contribute a practical skill. Denise is autistic and worries that that will prevent her from being able to board the ship, and she's also worried about her mother and sister and whether they'll be able to. This is a book about what happens when the future of the human race is at risk and whose lives matter the most. Sounds like a really thought-provoking one. So they are all of the sci-fi books that I have acquired recently. Do let me know if you have read any of these and if you have any thoughts on them. I'm in a bit of a sci-fi mood at the moment, so I do think I'll be picking up a couple of these or a couple of sci-fi books that I have on my shelf fairly soon. Also let me know down below if you have any recommendations for your favourite sci-fi books. Anyway, that's all from me today. I hope you're well, and I will talk to you guys in my next video.